How's it going, Critter Family? Hope you all are doing well. Today we are going over a video by Ryan Olson, otherwise known as RyanTheVegan. He is a new dog daddy, apparently, on TikTok. Somebody brought this to my attention that he is just a terrible, terrible person and a terrible abusive trainer, quote unquote trainer. In this one scene alone, we're going to see a couple seconds here where he is jabbing this dog in the ribs to get them to stop. First thing I see in this picture is a dog that is muzzled is fighting for their life because he grabs him by the collar. He's getting ready to jab him. We also see a treadmill with a chain or some kind of a leash connected to it. I do not ever like to train an animal to a treadmill because I want them to be able to get off when they need to. I want them to be able to stop when they need to. I don't like chaining animals to treadmills, so that also shows how he works. But first off, and the most important part is he says, "This dog jumped at me, clawed me until I bled, and tried to bite me. Corrections are deserved until this mindset changes." So he says corrections are deserved, not only necessary or needed, but deserved. So that means that he takes everything personal that a dog does to him. If a dog tries to bite at him, that's his fault. But he's going to correct the dog because he put the dog over threshold and the dog wants to correct him. He's going to correct the dog. So this is not a nice video to watch. So I'm going to warn you now. He's going to be jabbing this dog in the ribs. We're going to see another video where a dog is screaming and crying, and he shoves them into a crate. And then we're going to listen to him explaining his own philosophy of training.
Nope.
3 very hard,
So
audible
right
jabs. I think there's actually 4. The dog audibly yelps 3 times.
So right there, I just touch corrections until he stops.
Those are not touch corrections. That is a jab with your fingers to make the dog audibly yelp or squeal or whatever you want to call it. That you jabbed him in the ribs so hard that this dog was already fighting you because you grabbed him by the collar. You have a muzzle on that is far too big for this dog. It's going into their eyes. This dog feels trapped and attacked. And now you're attacking it and jabbing it as hard as you can in the ribs. We can hear it audibly make a thump noise, and the dog squeals as you do it.
No. When you're uncomfortable, you can't lunge at someone and use your teeth like this.
To the dog, you're still attacking them.
Nope.
The dog's tail was tucked.
This.
This is abuse.
Nope. Nope.
Next we have, he claims this dog is screaming in gargoyle. So he's making fun of it. This dog has a slip lead and a shock collar on. And the type of shock collar this dog has on has not 1 set of points, but 2 set of points. This is called the chameleon. I don't know why they call it the chameleon. It looks barbaric. It is barbaric. It's a shock collar. This is what it looks like from the top view. You have not 1 set of points, but 2 on either side of the neck. So it's even stronger than a typical shock collar where you have 1 set of points. And then if you want to be a wuss and hide it and hide your abuse that you're using, you can get covers for it. So nobody can tell that your dog has a shock collar on. It's called a chameleon probably because it's meant to be disguised as some other kind of collar. They have metal cables on here, all sorts of just horrible design. Any shock collar is a horrible design, period, in my opinion. But this dog here has one of these on. So he uses not 1 but 2 points of shock points, or shock collar points, whatever you want to call them. Sorry, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like the sound. So pause now, if we're fast forward now if you want to.
And
Drags it into the crate.
But correcting a dog is just learned helplessness. When that muzzle comes off, that dog is just going to attack you. Wrong. So a lot of people were saying...
So it looks like here the dog has a regular shock collar on. Maybe not. Maybe that's just how it looks. It doesn't matter. It's a shock collar.
The moment that muzzle comes off, she's going to attack you. That's not crate aggression. That's just fear aggression.
Him just touching the dog gives lip licks. This is learned helplessness.
I'm not because we're not by the crate that she's not triggered about me. So
She is absolutely triggered by you. This is learned helplessness.
take that muzzle off and see if she's gonna attack me.
I hear a dog stress panting in the background.
I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna let her do whatever she wants. What you doing there? Come here.
Yeah, see, this is the chameleon. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is learned helplessness. This is beaten wife syndrome. When you have an animal or a person that is so beaten and so betrayed and just horrifyingly abused by their captor or whatever you want to, or their abuser, the you have the victim and then you have the abuser. When they're not being abused, they will suck up to, they will try to get on the good side of their abuser. They are trying to say, please don't hurt me. If I get on your good side, then you're not going to hurt me. That's what this dog is doing.
If you're scared of me, would she be coming up to me?
Absolutely. Actually, she would, because she is scared of you. She's terrified of you. You're an abusive piece of shit.
Asking for attention?
She's not asking for attention. Maybe she is. I don't know. She's just trying to tell you, please don't hurt me. If I get close to you, maybe you won't hurt me. She's trying a number of things to keep you from abusing her more.
That just shows
Stress
you
panting
that,
in the background. Can you hear that dog panting?
although a dog can exhibit fearful behaviors after
That is a dog that is probably in a crate with a shock collar on, or at least a prong collar and a slip lead, some kind of corrective collar. That is very, very stressed. That's a very stressed out dog.
erected.
You can see the dog's trying to get out of here, chewing away. Somebody has been chewing away at this so viciously, or so relentlessly, because they're trying to get away from him.
Doesn't mean that they're being fear aggressive in general. It just shows that they don't know what to do and that a dog can be more stressed in a situation while they're working through more productive ways of behaving.
No, they're not going to be. That doesn't help. Making a dog stressed doesn't make them learn, period. A dog that is stressed, that has a shock collar on, that had a slip lead that you hung them with, basically dragging them into, you're basically hanging them, dragging them into that crate that we see
Great aggression.
over here.
But
The dog is not learning anything in that state of mind. And now we're going to look at his philosophy.
I want to explain where I'm coming from when I'm dealing with very, very aggressive, violent dogs. When I said in my previous video that I don't always use rewards when working with the dog, I meant that some sessions working with aggression, I'm not focusing on rewards because the dogs aren't going to accept rewards to begin with.
Because they are over threshold. When a dog does not accept rewards, it is because they are over threshold. This idiot puts them over threshold, and he allegedly, according to the person who told me about him to cover him, said that he made a video that was horrible. He takes his videos down. He made 2 apologies that he then, took both apologies down. So I don't know what his story is, but he can't seem to keep it straight.
Not a trainer that is going to tell you to always keep the dog under threshold.
You need to keep your dog under threshold if you ever plan to keep them, to train them anything. If you ever plan to train anything into them and teach them to be comfortable around their triggers, you need to keep them under threshold, because if you keep them over threshold for any amount of time, they're not going to be able to learn in that amount of time. They're not going to learn during that time when they're over threshold.
Never stress your dog out. I more so focus on...
It doesn't mean that we always avoid the threshold, or that we never ever teach our dogs to accept things. But if you have a dog that is afraid of other dogs, or barks and lunges at other dogs, and they're 10 feet away, then I would move 20 feet away, 30 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet, 2 miles, however far I need to be to make sure that this dog is comfortable in a state of mind where they can sit there and be comfortable and look at me and look at the other dog and not react. And as long as they're not reacting, I'm going to be rewarding. If they start reacting, then we need to increase distance. We need to get further away from the trigger so the dog can be in a state of mind where they're able to actually learn. They cannot learn when they are over threshold. If you are afraid of snakes and I put a big old boa constrictor or okay, sorry, I lost my internet there for a second. So I have no idea what I was talking about. But when you have your dog over threshold, they're not able to learn. You need to keep them under threshold so that they're able to actually physically take in information that you're trying to teach them.
I more so focus on teaching dogs that those violent outbreaks, that those lashing outs at people is not going to work anymore. Once we get over that initial hump, my main goal is reward-based training, to use their commands.
It should be cues, not commands. And how do you get that behavior? So once you get over that, how do you get over that initial hump is the most important part. And we see that he uses a very abusive tactics. He uses slip leads on every dog. He uses shock collars or prong collars on every dog. He uses muzzles on dogs that are going to teach him a lesson, that should teach him a lesson. But then that would mean that they would be put down because, you know, they bit a person. We don't want them to actually bite people. But I wish that they could teach him a lesson, because he is just a wimp who just abuses animals in the name of training.
To have them work for all of their food.
I would call him worse names, but that's not productive here.
And to start to reinforce everything that I want from them. That's not always the case when a dog is just lashing out at...
Dogs don't lash out at people or animals for no reason. They do it for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. There's a method to their madness, so to speak. They're lashing out because they are fearful, because they have a bad association with it, because of whatever many reasons there may be.
People, animals, owners, just the dog, the bottom line is that this dog thinks that if he doesn't like something, becoming aggressive and lashing out is the go-to option.
Dogs don't think that way. This guy is an idiot who has no education. If he had any education, he would know that dogs do not think that way. Dogs don't think, I'm just going to be crazy. I'm just going to do this and that. Now, there are dogs I've worked with that will throw a tantrum because they are frustrated. They are frustrated because they're used to saying hello to every single dog they meet. And when they can't meet a dog, then they start barking and lunging and doing all this and that. And this is not from a case of fear. It is from a case of frustration. It's not a case of aggression. It's that they are used to seeing other dogs, and when they can't, and they don't know why they can't, and they are restricted by a leash and a collar and a harness, then they start to freak out. That's when when dogs can learn to act up as a way to get reinforced for behaviors that they want, so they can start barking and lunging. And because they do that, then the person is going to say, okay, you want to go say hello? Let's go say hello. And that behavior is therefore reinforced. The dog will learn over time. If I do A, then I get B. A plus B equals C. But they don't do it when they are fearful or reactive. That's actually the opposite. They are doing that to keep the other dog away. So they don't always do that just to get their way. Dogs that are reactive and lunging and whatnot, they may learn that by barking and lunging, other things go away. But they're not thinking, oh, I'm going to get my way. I'm going to be a spoiled brat today. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make mom and dad do this. They don't think that way.
But she does. So that's where I'm going to start. Don't put your teeth on people. You can't be lunging at me because I walked by your crate. You can't.
So if you have a dog that is lunging at you because you walk by the crate, then you need to work on desensitizing the crate, period. This dog is not comfortable in the crate. That little Frenchie was not comfortable going in the crate. You had to use a shock collar and a slip lead and grab her by the scruff, and you have to throw her in there and force her in there, which is not the way you do it, Ryan. That is the absolute worst thing you do. Just because you're a vegan doesn't mean you're not abusive. You are actually horrible to animals. You are worse to animals than... You're the worst vegan I've ever seen. You treat animals so much worse than just eating them. You may not eat them, but you treat them horribly. So when it comes to training a dog in a crate that is nervous about you going by the crate, then you first start off by making the crate a positive association for the dog. You want them to see it as something good. So you reward them for being in the crate. Once they're in the crate and they can see the crate is good, they will see you as something good, because when you walk by the crate, you toss them a little treat. Or I would go stand by the crate and just give them little treats for just being calm. Not growling, not barking. If they bark and growl at me, then I need to work on a lot of other relationship building skills with this dog, so that way they don't see that the crate, me walking by the crate, that they need to protect the crate, because they are fearful and they're protecting themselves inside the crate and they feel trapped inside the crate. There's a whole lot more to it than I can and will explain in this video, but you don't do it this way. This is not the way to do it. You don't just shove a dog in there and then correct him every time you walk by the crate, because like what he's doing.
Lunge at someone because you don't like that they're black. Yeah, she does that too. You can't be lunging at someone because you stole something that you shouldn't have had.
Then you need to teach the dog a good way to trade and a good leave it cue and a good drop it cue. If she steals a tissue and you don't want her to have the tissue, or she steals something that's dangerous, a piece of glass or something else that can be harmful to her, a chicken bone, for instance, then you need to have already taught her, or work with her to have a good trade, so that way she sees that when she loses something, it's not going away forever, or she gets something even better in place. You also need to work on having a good leave it with her, so that way drop it and leave it, so that way she can drop it and leave it alone, or she can leave it alone, period, and not go after it. So you don't have to worry about trading with her, so you don't have to worry about her reinforcing this behavior.
So, while I start with correcting the aggression,
you never, ever, 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 ever correct aggression. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. You don't correct aggression. You teach an alternate behavior to aggression. You can say, yeah, I'm correcting the aggression by teaching an alternate behavior, but you don't physically correct aggression by shocking the dog, using prongs on a dog, using a choke chain or a slip lead. You don't use any of this other form to actually be aversive towards the dog. You don't use aversive corrections towards a dog who is aggressive, because you're going to cause them to suppress that emotional state of mind. And then one day, then they're just a ticking time bomb. You're not helping them at all by correcting the outburst. You don't correct the outburst. You find a way to help them feel comfortable in the situation that they're in.
Dog out of that survival mode. So fight, flight, freezing, and avoiding.
Fight, flight, fiddle, faint, and freeze. Those are the 5 F's of dog training.
Main goal is to get them as comfortable around their triggers as possible.
And how does he do that? By using a shock collar. That is not making an animal comfortable at all. You are a force abusive trainer. And I use that word very, very loosely. Trainer. Any dumbass can call themselves a trainer nowadays and get a TikTok, to blow up because so many people like his stuff. And these ones, they have, 1,800 likes, 1,400 likes for him abusing animals, and people like it.
But where a lot of these positive only trainers are...
It's positive reinforcement trainer, not positive only trainer.
...running into trouble is that...
We're not running into any trouble, buddy. You're the one who's running into trouble, who has to take down his apologies for whatever reason. The fact that you have to make apologies and then you then take them down, which means that you weren't sincere in the first place.
They're not making the dog safe first, so that's why...
No, I don't abuse a dog. I work on trust first. I don't worry about, the trust is safety first. Of course, I'm going to make the dog safe over time. I don't worry about making the dog safe first, which I don't know what his opinion of safe is that he literally beats the shit out of a dog to make them never want to try to cross him again, or ever cross a human being again. And by that, I mean they don't feel the need to defend themselves. They give up. For him, safety is learned helplessness. For me, safety is having a relationship with the dog. And having trust with the dog. Trust is always first with me.
I focus on overcoming the aggression, getting out of that fighting survival mode, before I really worry about counter conditioning everything and making it all rewarding.
That is how you start. That is the only way to start is, well, in my opinion, the only appropriate way to start is by immediately counter conditioning the aggression. It's not about making the dog safe first. If you wanted to ask me how to make a dog safe first, I would put a muzzle on. That's how I make a dog safe first, and then I work on their trust, and then I work on their cues, or as he would say, commands and all that. That's last. I don't care about that. I worry about them having a positive association with me and trusting me. Trust is number one. And trust and safety go hand in hand. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to make the dog safe. That's the whole point of having trust in the dog, is that we make them safe through having trust with humans. Not that they're afraid, or not that we can overpower them, or not that we can use a shock collar on them. I can make a dog safe without ever even having to touch them. And that doesn't mean I'm using a remote.
With this Frenchie Loki, I want her to just be running in and out of her crate for food rewards because she's no longer attacking me. She's out of that survival mode, and she's getting into a state of mind where she's able and willing to learn.
She will never be able and willing to learn with you because you're just an abusive jackass. I've heard enough of this nonsense. I've gone over this guy. Let me know what you think of this video. In the meantime, go say hi to your little critter. Say how do you do for me. This dog has a shock collar on as well, so I was, maybe this guy doesn't. But anyway, go say hi to your little critter. Say how do you do for me. Give them some kind of love that they appreciate. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.